Broadcast of this program is made possible in part by the South Carolina Farm Bureau, online at scfb.org, and by the Columbia Metropolitan Airport, online at columbiaairport.com, and by Time Warner Cable, online at timewarnercable.com.
And welcome back to This Week at the State House as the new session of the General Assembly continues to plow on. Bills are bubbling around in the committees. Issues are starting to surface. You've seen some debate on ethics. We will probably in a future show talking about that. But there are other issues that are bubbling across South Carolina. And in all of these issues, there are two sides to the question. What motivates people to be for it? Why are they against it? One of the hottest subjects that seems to percolate at the State House is the question of gambling in South Carolina. We already got gambling with the state lottery and bingo, but when you try to go beyond that, you start getting into hot debate. And that's what we're going to look at today. What are the perspectives on it? Why is it an issue? Are libertarians confronted with a dilemma regarding it, or conservatives? On the other hand, are liberals? What all goes into that? But before we go to that and introduce our guests, we of course need to take care of some housekeeping, and we want to thank Time Warner Cable, the Columbia Metropolitan Airport, and Farm Bureau for sponsoring this program and making it available to you to look at these issues across the General Assembly. And of course, ETV for producing the show, and I want to thank the South Carolina Press Association for their assistance in putting this show together. And as always, I want to welcome our friends, of course, out at 518 of the Blott Building who like to gather and learn about these issues. And we always like to bring good information to Representative Merrill and Zachary and Associates and the others who always are looking for seeing how these issues play out. Playing cards, playing gambling, what? I'm going to our two guests here today. Right next to me, very outspoken senator from Spartanburg, and I think you represent a piece of Greenville now.
I do. 30% of my district's Greenville.
Senator Lee Bright comes to us from the Piedmont. Now we go to the coast. Opposite party, you're a Republican, he's a Democrat. Senator Robert Ford, longtime veteran of the South Carolina Senate, and has been involved in many things and is very outspoken on this subject. Gentlemen, I want to thank you all for being with us today.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you for having us.
I want to start out gambling. People in South Carolina, the issues coming up. The Supreme Court issued an opinion this year warning, and essentially, that the statute on the books is so broad and so cumbersome, it outlaws the playing of Monopoly and cards at somebody's kitchen table, but you can go in another room of the house and play it and be legal. But then you get involved with, should the state be involved in telling people what games they can play in their house? Then we've got issues like riverboat gambling, pari-mutuel betting. We've got the issues of, can people have friendly poker games? And the one that is the most ridiculous to me, and because I've been outspoken on this, so this is where I'll voice my opinion, is telling nonprofits in South Carolina that they can't sell a raffle ticket for a cake or a quilt or something in this state, but they can do it in almost every other state of the United States. So I'll start out with the easiest topic and the one that we might get some, I suspect, some agreement on before I go to the ones that I think are going to really be hot, and ask you all about raffles. Why shouldn't nonprofits be able to sell raffle tickets in South Carolina? Senator, I'll start with you.
I think the consensus is going to be that we're probably going to have raffles unless there were some things slipped in there. We were a little concerned about the casino nights and some of the other things. We don't want poker games in South Carolina. I mean, we don't want the state, at least on my side of the issue, you know, the role of government is to protect us from one another. I mean, that's the role. And, you know, when you get into gambling, I think that you've got to question, you've got one group, the House, basically, trying to prey on the folks they're playing the games, and that's what we want to avoid.
Well, let me ask you, but a nonprofit selling a raffle ticket for a quilt, do any of y'all believe somebody's going to become an addicted gambler off of buying something from a charity?
But I think it's much deeper than that, Senator.
Really?
Like yesterday, I made a presentation to the Senate, and the presentation is a simple one. When you look at, this is South Carolina as we speak now, the economy of South Carolina. This came from the state economist. The area in pink and red, these are the areas that is suffering in South Carolina. Horry County, Greenville, Spartanburg. All these in dark red, which means that they have high unemployment and they have fallen below the threshold of being viable anymore. They're not viable. The only areas in the state right now that is doing halfway decent is the Low Country, led by Charleston, Berkeley, and Dorchester County. In other words, we are hurting. And when this kind of hurt happened across the United States, 30 states have adopted hardcore gaming. I mean hardcore gaming. Casinos. In Pennsylvania, they opened 5 casinos. In Maryland, they opened 5 casinos. Across the Southland where we live, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, have casinos, all type of gaming to meet their budgetary needs for their citizens to live a halfway decent life. Mississippi have raised that standard of living almost equal with the average state now. They're not the poorest state and the lowest state in the country. That designation is given to South Carolina because our Senate and our House and our elected officials, instead of being good elected officials, we want to be good bishops, we want to be good priests, we want to be good Sunday school teachers, and forget about the hardcore needs in the state. When everybody have a major problem with that budget, they go to gaming. We did that in the past with the lottery. You remember now when we voted upon the lottery, Greenville, Spartanburg, and all those areas, they voted against it. But once it was passed, you was over that area. I mean that part of the Senate then. You seen in the fight, they wanted to take all of the money back upstate.
What, the ones that were against it?
Against it, but then once it passed, they want all of the resources, even to institutions like Bob Jones University. And so what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, we got serious problems in South Carolina economically. And we're going to have to do something, and we're going to have to do the same thing other states did. My concept is to open South Carolina up to some serious gaming. We could have a casino in Greenville, Spartanburg area on I-85, and we could solve most of their unemployment situation problems and economic problems.
Senator, he went from a particular subject to the whole issue of gambling. So I'll just turn to you. He's saying a casino in your area. You support?
I'm trying to follow this. If I'm. And of course, Senator Ford and I are very close friends.
Good friends.
Good friends.
And one day we're gonna make you understand that we're not here to be Sunday school teachers. We're here to take care of the needs of South Carolinians.
So are you suggesting that maybe since we've got such high unemployment, we should maybe give gambling chips instead of unemployment checks?
No. What I think we should do is to open up. No, here's what we should do. We should open up a serious casino on 85. One in the area around Myrtle Beach. One in the Charleston area, one in Columbia area, and one down there in Beaufort. And we could have about $4 or $5 billion in the South Carolina Treasury to take care of the needs of the citizens of this state. And we're gonna have a lot of churches to go to after we do, And most of the gaming not gonna be done by our citizens. They're gonna be done by visitors, like they do in other states. Don't you know, Senator, in your area, probably in your church, you got buses that leave Spartanburg County. When them senior citizens go to areas, they don't go to read the Bible, they go to have fun. Gaming. Those are the areas they pick to go to. Probably in your own church, you got buses that leave on a regular basis that go to those gambling states and have a lot of fun.
Well, I'm concerned about the folks that...
And we need to keep that money right here in South Carolina.
That would use that money and spend it right here in South Carolina on goods and services that families need versus putting it into a casino where the casino owner runs off with the money.
No.
And then these families aren't provided for because it's mostly folks that are hoping for the free lunch. And when we both know, even at the federal government level, eventually, nothing's free.
Yeah, but Senator, listen, the senators and representatives in other states, the 30 states that just came up some serious gaming, they had the same concern, but they left it up to their citizens, like we did with the lottery. The elected officials in the Senate, and other than Senator McConnell, Senator Passaleg, and a few others in the Low Country, we begged them to give us a chance to vote on the lottery. Once it was open, the citizens of South Carolina chose to go with the lottery. If they choose to go with this kind of stuff, like they did in other states, listen, they got Senator Brights in every state in this country who fought gaming, and when they lost, they got on board and took care of their citizens. Like you ought to do once we give them the opportunity to vote on these kind of issues.
Well, you know, it kind of goes back to the lottery. I'm glad you brought that up because I traveled around on the No Lottery bus tour.
Yeah, we kick y'all butt. We just kick y'all butt when it came to Charleston.
Well,
y'all won all of the upstates. Y'all won all of the upstate counties.
Right.
When it came down to Charleston, Berkeley, Dorchester, Beaufort, our citizens vote over 90% for the lottery, and it passed. And as soon as it passed, most of the money want to go upstate.
But that is, the lottery is nothing but a tax on poor folks.
No.
For the most part,
don't have that kind of money.
I came back from Florida and stopped at a gas station, and there was a crowd buying lottery tickets on a Sunday morning, believe it or not. And they were buying these lottery tickets, and it might have been a Saturday morning, I'm trying to remember now, but I'm riding up there, they're buying these lottery tickets, and then they win, and then they buy more lottery tickets, and they buy more lottery tickets, and none of them were dressed as nice as you. But I mean, these folks were spending the money they'd be spending on stuff for their kids on lottery tickets, and they were paying for these other kids to go to college. All it was a chance for the folks in lower income levels to pay for the middle class to be needing on government subsidies to pay for their college education.
Senator, when the budget come again this year, you're going to see how valuable the lottery are to higher education in the state. Without that, we will be suffering more. Give the people a chance to be citizens. If they want to play casino, if they want to go to play the lottery, if they want to do the smallest thing that y'all started off with, give them that right. They could choose. We for choice. You and I for school choice. We saying parents have a right to send their kids to any school where they could afford or wherever the government could help them afford. If we believe in choice on that level, then let's believe in choice on every level. Give them a chance. And we could have a better state than what we got now. Unemployment in Spartanburg and Greenville is much too high. And you know that. And the only way we're going to solve it is through some kind of gaming. Ain't nothing else out there.
I don't think gaming is going to solve it. I mean, I think the education system can have a lot to do with it. I mean, we've got jobs that are.
All of that.
I've got a manufacturer in my district that is bringing people in from other states because our people aren't trained. Now, we come in here and we talk about the lot and we talk about spending. Kevin Bryant, now I don't want to steal his line because he steals some of mine, but I'm not going to steal his. And one thing he said, of course, he got it from his father, but that higher education schools are always building and they're always broke. But yet our kids, we're bringing people in from other states for jobs because our kids aren't trained. I mean, that is just mind-boggling. And we pump out these kids with 4-year degrees and things for jobs that aren't there. And then they go in and work in restaurants after they spend $80,000, $100,000 on education. And we subsidize that. I mean, it's mind-boggling. And I know the lobby is strong, and I know speaking out against higher ed is almost as bad as speaking out against funding for K through 12. Even though we've talked about choice and the fact that since there's no competition, we continue to spend more. And K through 12, the answer is always, if you gave us a little bit more. But yet yesterday, Senator, we was in a hearing talking about unemployment, and we had one of our colleagues say that his folks couldn't fill out the unemployment applications. They weren't educated enough to fill out the unemployment applications and needed help. But yet we're going to talk about our education system and throwing more money into it. And we talk about the lottery.
You got 5,000 people who just became unemployed in Spartanburg County. What are you going to do about it? The only way we're going to solve these unemployment problems and give people a better lifestyle. That's why we're here, to let people have a decent lifestyle. People might want to dress like me or you. They might want to buy a home or a car. Mississippi was bailed out because of what? Because of gaming. Mississippi now is a prosperous state. Louisiana, gaming. Florida, gaming. All Pennsylvania, high unemployment is drought because of what? Gaming. Maryland, gaming. All over this country, 30 states have decided, and they have people in the Senate and the House, just like you and I, who was fighting this issue. But once they turned it over to the public adopted it. Let's give our citizens the same opportunity. And I'm not going to change. I'm going to always be a free-minded person. You're going to always be a free-minded person. But we should not be dictators and say, no, we're not going to do it this way. This is right way. This is, well, it's not conservative because a lot of those states like Mississippi and Alabama is much more conservative than South Carolina. But they give their citizen a chance to vote. And they adopted these plans, and they're doing much better than South Carolina across the board.
Well, Senator, I do agree.
They got money to play with.
I do agree Florida's doing well. And I hear a lot of people wanting to go to Florida. I hear a lot of people wanting to go to Texas. I hear a lot of people wanting to go to Tennessee because of the income tax, getting rid of the state income tax. In Florida, they've got a terrible problem with gambling. It's just gotten outrageous.
No, to us, to you and I, it's terrible, but not to them.
No, I'm talking about the gambling addicts that are losing their homes that can't afford to pay the everyday bills. It's huge in Florida. It's huge in Florida. I can.
Because I know all of the modern studies, all of the latest studies on gambling in this country, and I haven't ran across that. Now, I'm not talking about no conservative nut who's going to put something together and send it to people like Pat Robertson and all those kind of folks, and then you read it and make it the gospel. I'm talking about hardcore government type studies. If you show me that, then we could at least have something to talk on. Right now, I haven't seen nothing like that.
I'll get it for you. But there's one state in the Midwest that they've gone from one gambling addicts group, Gamblers Anonymous, to 50.
But look, how long we had those things, alcohol? How long?
How long
did we stop? You remember we tried prohibition?
Well,
how long we had those?
I would say that when you're dealing with gambling, it's a little different than alcohol. I think that people, when they get involved, now when you mix gambling and alcohol, then you really got a problem.
Senator, we have needs in this state. Can you tell the public right now, how would you solve them? How would you come up with something like $4 or $5 billion?
Well, what we need to do is basically have a better education system.
That ain't going to solve it. That's not going.
It will.
No, we can get the money.
We don't need more money. It's not a money problem. We got a spending problem. It's just like the federal government. We've got to spend. The only reason the federal government spends more money than we do is because they can print it. I mean, if we could print it, we'd be spending it like you wouldn't believe.
Where would you get the money to make a better education system in South Carolina?
But it's not money.
And at the same time, solve the unemployment problem. And in your own county, you have been to a prosperous county. Now you're a welfare county because you don't have no jobs in the industry. You don't have no growth.
Now we've got BMW, we got Mission, we've got jobs. The small businesses.
You're in dark red. That means you're hurting big time.
The small businesses.
You lost over 5,000 jobs.
The small businesses
what dark red means.
Are the driving and backbone of this economy, and small businesses are getting crushed because they can't afford the lobbyists. They can't get the exemptions.
That's why when we got rid of video poker, it was the dumbest thing in modern history. You had 36,000 people working. Just 19% of the people who played poker was from South Carolina, according to the Clemson study. It was a $5 billion industry, and we took all of that away because we didn't want to give the citizen a chance to do what they wanted to do.
Well, let me ask y'all, because I can sit here and listen. This is very interesting. I really don't. Y'all make it easy for me, but so that the viewers will also know what all we're talking about here. Pari-mutuel betting. What is that? What is pari-mutuel betting?
Oh, I don't have.
Isn't that on racehorses?
Yeah, horse racing.
All
yeah.
right. So what a riverboat. You put in a bill, Senator.
Pari-mutuel betting reminds me of lost trust, but didn't we have a deal with that?
You against? No, I understand that. You can always find some bad.
Well, there's plenty of bad in gambling. There's a lot of corruption.
Kentucky had pari-mutuel betting forever and ever, oh man. A lot of states going to that now. You against that too?
Yes, I'm against gambling.
You're against gambling, period.
I'm against gambling,
now, would you tell the citizen of South Carolina, Senator Bright, how would you solve the economic and education needs of this state?
We've got to reform our education system.
Where the money
Bottom
come
line.
from? Where the money come from?
We don't need more money. We just need common sense reforms like you and I have been fighting for with school choice.
No, but you got to have resources.
We've got resources.
We are broke.
We spend half our budget.
I just got on finance after 20 years of judiciary, and as soon as I get there, the chairman showed me the makeup of South Carolina, the overview of South Carolina economy. We are in serious trouble.
Oh, absolutely.
And you could see your own county. You have one time you was dark green, now you're dark red. You can't get worse than that. Just like overnight, the economy of Greenville and Spartanburg went down. You're now in the same category in Marion County. Unemployment 17%. you're going to be close to that soon. You got to come up with some resources, Senator, to help your people.
I think the best thing we can do is educate them for the jobs
You gotta have
of the
money for that.
21st century.
You gotta have money for that.
It doesn't take the kind of money we're spending on education. We're not spending money in the way that we should be. It's not more money, it's spending money wisely.
Senator, we need to have that wise money you're talking about, we need to have it to spend. We don't have it right now. And if you take away the lottery like you want to do, imagine South Carolina.
You probably would not have some of these institutions building these Taj Mahal palaces that they're building. You probably wouldn't have professors who we just gave raises making over $100,000 a year the way we're spending money.
What state are you in? I mean, what country are you in? No, what planet are you on?
Senator, I proposed an amendment to the budget last year that failed. That would have taken the folks that were making over $100,000 a year, they would not have got a raise that were on the state payroll. And the gnashing of teeth in the Senate because so many members live right around here in Columbia and they got all these folks working at...
That's half a percent of the budget. That wouldn't affect nothing.
It's the small things.
Something like $4 or $5 billion.
It adds up. The small things adds up, and then we've got some Democrats I've talked to that think that we can educate children for $10,000 a child in South Carolina, but we're spending 11. That's per pupil across the whole state.
Well, let me ask you too, because we're going to run out of time, and I want the people to understand. One of the bills you put in is riverboat gambling. Mm-hmm. What is riverboat gambling?
Well, in Louisiana we have riverboat gambling, but it's like the bayou. You give the county permission to have gaming, so
it'd be on a boat.
It'd be on a boat.
And would it be like a casino or what?
It's not really on the boat anymore. No, it's not on the boat. Now it's a full-fledged casino. And we got about 7 or 8 throughout the state of Louisiana. Mississippi did the same thing. Those are casinos. Back then when I introduced that bill, that's about 12 or 13 years ago, it was called riverboat gambling then, but it's not that no more.
And so casino boat gambling and riverboat gambling, that's all the same thing. So the viewers out there understand those issues.
They're going to dock, they're going to stay docked, they don't have to go out, they're going to stay docked. They have a big old casino like Harris. I spent a lot of time there last week watching people have fun, people from all over the country. Church buses, something like 10,000 church buses was at Harris the 3 days I was there.
10,000 church buses at Harris Casino?
Yeah, everywhere you go. Every casino you go, you're going to see church buses. First Baptist Church of Spartanburg. Second Baptist Church of Spartanburg.
I'll have to challenge that.
Yeah,
I'll have to talk to Dr. Wilton up in Spartanburg and ask him what he's using his bus for.
I'm sorry about that, but they go, the senior citizens have a good time. They come back home.
Take me some pictures next time.
Oh, yeah, I'll be glad to. Better still, I could take, 1 weekend you and I could go to any casino, right there in Maryland, in Florida, any place you want to go.
Well, you drive, but I want to sit across the street. I don't want to go inside, but I'll sit across the street and watch it.
Take all the pictures you want. You're going to see church buses.
I'm going to count them church buses.
Senior citizens, when they retire, they have a right to do what they want to do with that money, Senator.
Well, they can go to other states.
They feel that they're just as religious as you and I.
Hey, if they want to go to another state and do it, I think that's fine. I just don't want to bring the plague that's gambling on South Carolina.
We hurting. We need jobs.
I don't want to hurt them worse. My question goes back to this. Are we going to give the unemployed poker chips? Is that your plan?
No, my plan is to open this state up, make some serious money, let everybody live a halfway decent life. Like the rest of, they got senators, like I said before, they got senators like you in Mississippi who lost. And once they lost, they got on board. They got senators like you in Maryland, Pennsylvania, in Florida, in Louisiana, in Texas, all those states that adopted some form of gambling. Just like you.
Well, we close.
Like you and I.
Well, we close all
the conservative, and what happened? One of them lost. You lost, in every instance, and when you lost, your state became a prosper and a better state.
So what do you propose that we close all higher ed institutions and institute gambling? Because obviously if it's such a good economic engine, all we need is gambling and we can pay all the bills.
Well, now, if you want to be like that, you can be that ridiculous, I'll go along with you. As long as you give a citizen a chance to vote. And then after that, you and I can fix up other problems. Infrastructure in this state is so ridiculous. Look, even going to Spartanburg, when I first became a senator,
I agree with that.
Senator O'Connor used to talk about those golden roads going upstate. It's not the case no. You know why?
Y'all took out them under Charleston.
No, because you new guys got in.
Y'all expanded the road down there, and people don't want expanded.
But you new senators upstate got involved, and instead of following the track of Vaughn Smith and all those legends, y'all decided that no, we're going to make South Carolina one big Sunday school class.
Well, we did a poor job. We need to get a new
Oh, no,
teacher.
you're doing a good job.
Well, let me ask y'all very
Your philosophy
quickly.
got us dead broke, no education, no infrastructure. We need money, Senator. You got to have money to solve. That's why we need civics. If we have civics, you would be a 10-time better senator because then you would know why you're elected.
So
Just not you, the whole United States Congress. They would know why they are elected if we had civics.
to bring in gambling.
No, civics.
No,
to show
but
up.
civics would teach us to bring in gambling.
No, civics would teach us our responsibility as elected officials. I'm not a pope. I'm not a bishop. I'm not a Roman Catholic priest. I'm not a Baptist priest, a bishop, preacher. I'm an elected official, and my job is to take care of the needs of the citizen of South Carolina, just like you. And it's not to be no Sunday school teacher.
Well, the role of government is to protect us from one another. I believe that gambling.
I never read that no place in civics.
We'll do some reading.
Okay,
I got some folks you can read about. But that's the goal of government, to protect us from one another.
So the bottom line is that the citizen of Spartanburg deserve a right to a good, decent life, where they could have a decent job, where they could ride on good roads. You're not providing that because you don't want to even give them opportunity to vote on something simple as a gambling bill. Give them the opportunity. Your hands will be clean.
Senator, the amount of money that would come into this state that would be spent by the gambling lobby would be so tremendous that it would be an absolute war over that, and I think that it'd be better. We'd be better suited fixing our budgetary
During the lottery
problems.
fight, we raised about $300,000. Y'all had about $7 million and still lost. Your side. Y'all broke almost every Baptist deacon in this state because they had to put money up to try to fight the lottery.
Well, let me tell you two, I've lost the opportunity really to ask questions here on this program today. You two have been a lively conversation. We never got into the sweepstakes issue and to the gambling and home card playing.
He against everything gambling. I'm for everything you say. Not because, and I want the public to know this. I bet gamble.
You are.
I don't gamble. But I'm not going to stop nobody from having that right. When I go to Harris, I go to have fun. Citizens across the country. If you want to meet people, you go to a casino. You will see all kind of people having all kind of fun. You get to know them. And then you would have a better broader look out.
We're going to count them Baptist church buses.
Let me tell you this. We're out of time, and I wish I could continue because I would like the opportunity to ask some questions on particulars, but you see now why this issue is so complicated and spirited here in Columbia. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week with other issues here this week at the State House.
Broadcast of this program is made possible in part by the South Carolina Farm Bureau, online at scfb.org, and by the Columbia Metropolitan Airport, online at columbiaairport.com, and by Time Warner Cable, online at timewarnercable.com.